Hi and welcome to Historymakers TV. I'm Matt Prater. Today we're speaking with a young evangelist named Daniel Jones. How are you, mate?
How you going, Pastor Matt?
Good. It's good to have you along today. Now, I've been following your story for a while. You've been a busy boy travelling around the States. You've been doing your own TV show. You've been doing all this stuff. Let's find out a bit of your story. Whereabouts were you raised and what was your testimony like?
My testimony. Well, Matt, when I was about 17 years of age, I had an encounter with God. Prior to that, about 14, 15, 16, I was living a very wild life. And when I was about 17, I just came to a realisation. I got in trouble with the law. There were some things taking place. And at 17, you realise, man, I'm a bit young for this to be happening in my life so far. So I decided I needed to change. So I tried to change myself. I tried to look for some other things. I tried drugs. I tried different things. Go looking for this change inside of you. About 17 and a half, I was at a church service someone invited me, dragged me to, and someone preached the gospel for the first time. When they preached that gospel, I can't even remember the preacher. I don't remember. I just remember hearing those words, and the biggest thing, Matt, was that God had a plan for my life. So at 17, I responded to the fact that God had a plan for my life, and since then I've been living an incredible life.
Yeah, mate. You've got a great story. I got to meet your wife the other day, and she's got like an ex kind of Muslim background. How did you meet her?
Okay, so basically I was a pretty full-on young bloke, got into a lot of different things, you know. If someone said don't touch it, I was the kind of kid that had to touch it. And then when I went about 17, I found Christ. 18, I decided, just like I was full-on in the world, I thought I'm going to go full-on for God. So I kind of went from stealing cars to preaching the gospel in 3 months, kind of the way I do things. And so I was full-on, went to Bible college, and as I was in Bible college, I saw this young lady get up who ended up being my wife, and she was a Muslim, raised in a Muslim home, and she shared at 15 how her mum had committed suicide. And through a series of, through that death and horrific events, she was lost for 2 years, and at 17, she heard the gospel just like I did for the first time. And so she responded to that gospel message that Christ has a plan for our life. And then out of that, about 2 years later, we both end up in Bible college together. And from there we met and started, fell in love, went and, got married, started a family, and have been serving Christ together ever since.
And you've got 3 amazing kids, and you travel around all around the States and all around the world. Doors are opening for you. And you started this TV show that I just am so curious about. You're a bit like Steve Irwin. You get out there with pigs and snakes and crocodiles and stuff. What's the show all about?
Okay, as it hasn't. People always ask me that, Matt. I look at Christian television like we're doing right now,
yeah.
And we do interviews and we film church service and different things.
Yeah.
And so I look at this next generation coming through, and then just as I travelled around so many years, living in different places, like not living, but just travelling to so many different places, you get exposed to all these different cultures and countries that I go to. And one thing that I noticed, doesn't matter what colour the skin is or what country I'm in, young people love edgy stuff. They love to. There's something in a youth that says, I want to. They're excited. They want to experience life.
Yeah.
And so for me, the show, I used to watch Christian television, and I thought, man, is there a way, God? I mean, it's awesome, this stuff, but is there a way to really communicate the life that you've given me? And so God spoke to me. It's going to be funny, but this is the truth. I'd preach for 3 months in America, come home and preach here for 3 months, then go back to the States for 3 months and come back here for 3 months. And that was about a 5-year period. And in that time, one of those trips, I went shark fishing because we catch sharks. We don't kill them. We catch and release them.
Okay.
Real sharks. It's called land-based shark fishing.
Yeah.
And I just do that for a bit of fun, mate. I'm a bit wild. I like out event. I ride motorbikes, all those kinds of things. And I need to unwind. So for me, unwinding is to go and go shark fishing. So I was there just making some home videos with my brother, my cousin, just some friends. And the shark spun around and almost got my leg, and it's all on camera. And I obviously I've still got my leg, so he missed. But I thought that makes incredible TV. We were watching the home video later, and God spoke to me, and he said, Dan, I want you to film this kind of thing. And he said, and I want you to show parallels as you deal with the incredible animals and attributes of nature. I want you to show that there's a creator. So the whole point of this show is to go out and live adventures. It's a Christian Christian reality adventure show. It's called Wild Truth, and the whole point is to go out and live adventures. And I show and document my life as an evangelist, preaching the gospel and where that takes me, but also show them the adventures and the things that we come across. So I'll just give you one example. We were in Darwin, and we pulled some churches together, and we filmed the Christian side and the crusade and preaching and reaching out to people with the love of Christ. But then we did some adventures. So we've caught 5 saltwater crocodiles, and as we catch those crocodiles, we sit on them and we do one message on the armour of God. And just like a crocodile's famous for armour, so do we have armour. So I sit on that crocodile, just similar to you see in the other documentary style shows on the different, on the different pay TV television stations. And so I thought, man, if someone would do that, but show you, Lord. So it was kind of that, and then this moment out at catching the sharks at Moreton Island, that this thought came in. And so we came up with this concept, Wild Truth. And so we're now in production, and it's a Christian adventure reality TV show that, in a nutshell, says to the next generation, Matt, you don't have to be Ned Flanders off The Simpsons or some, if you think I get saved, I'm going to become boring. That's a lie. One of the greatest lies from the devil. My lie, I was boring till I became a Christian. And then after I became a Christian, I found how to really live. So,
your phone's ringing.
My phone's ringing.
There we go, that's exciting.
Can we edit that out?
We'll have to edit that out.
I'm so sorry,
That's
mate.
all right.
Thought it was on silent.
That's all right.
So that's basically...
So just put it back in. Just keep talking and we'll edit it out.
No worries. So basically, mate, out of this season of where I've been at, living an incredible life, that the destiny that God had for my life, my heart was to let others experience that and let them know that God has a plan for their life. So through media, social media, and this new TV show, Wild Truth, our hope is to never change the message, but change the method to which we present the message. And the message is John 3:16. For God so loved this world that he gave his one and only Son, Jesus, that whosoever shall believe in him will not perish, Matt, but have everlasting life. To me, that's a real thing. It's not just a thought or a moment in time of what humanity's been through. I believe that is 100% truth.
And mate, I think in America, you have been so popular over there with your crusades, your travelling stuff. I think your TV show would hit the mark over there, because whenever I go to the States, all they remember is Steve Irwin on the Discovery Channel, or the Wiggles perhaps. But they love that kind of adventure stuff on Discovery Channel and things like that. Do you think that's the kind of market you might get your TV show on?
Definitely. We're already we're actually in contact with not just some Christian television stations, but we've actually had some contact with some secular television stations over in the USA. And so definitely that's probably the market where we'd want to obviously air to Australia as well. I guess, Matt, my heart is to show what's happening in Australia.
Yeah.
What God's doing in Australia. And as you talked about this adventure, I guess for me, just one back to the boring thing, I want to show this generation that you can have an exciting life. You mentioned some of these other shows that we all know about, and I look at them and I think that's amazing that they're getting to experience that kind of element in life. But I look at God and I think, God, those shows aren't telling about you. And so I wanted to take that same adventure, that same amazing way they format those shows, but I wanted to add it 100% that it's a message of John 3:16, for God so loved this world, and kind of combine those two worlds together. And so I call myself, Matt, an adventure evangelist. And we go out looking for adventures, and we win the lost for Jesus, and we have a great time doing it at the same time.
That's good, mate. Well, it's so good to hear how your life has been transformed from darkness to light, and now you're trying to lead others to the light. Mate, there might be people watching this right now that are thinking, you know what, I need to do something about my life to get my life right with God. Would you speak to them now?
I'd love to. That's an honour. If I was going to say anything to somebody today, I want you to understand this. The Bible says in Jeremiah 29:11, he says, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. One more time. For I know the plans that I have for you, plans not to prosper you, plans not to harm you, plans to prosper you, plans to give you hope and a future. We live in a world that says God's a bad God. We live in a world that questions the goodness of God. I want people to understand that he's a good God with a great plan. If I could just say two things as we finish today, Matt. The word plans in the Hebrew is the word hasab, which means, for I know the plans, or the hasab plans, which means to be intricately designed. I know the intricately designed plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans not to harm you, plans to prosper you, plans to give you hope and a future. The word future in the Hebrew means the word akrayat, which means the far side, the other side, the days to come. So if I could just end with this, no matter where you're at, the plan, the Hassab plan that God has for your life is intricately designed. He's thought about it right down to how much hair's on your head and every emotion you've ever had or how many tears you've ever wept. And then out of that Hassab plan, he has a future for you. And the future is nowhere where you're at, Matt. It's on the far side. It's on the other side. It's in the days to come. And so I guess if I could package one thing today, I want those that are watching, the viewers today, to understand that God has an incredible plan for their life. And if they just let him in, he would come in and absolutely change their world.
Well, I think, mate, you are such a inspiration. You know, you've got such a passion in your heart, and I think you're going to reach the world with your new TV show, and many more doors are going to open for you in the future.
Bless you, mate.
And I just want to say, anyone that's watching this that feels like they need to respond, go to our website, historymakers.tv, and there you can find out more details about, maybe we can put you in contact with a local church, or maybe you want us to send you a Bible, or maybe you want to track down this bloke and go and travel around the world and catch crocodiles and see him share the gospel around the world as well. You can find our details at historymakers.tv. Mate, I think you're a history maker. Daniel, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thank you for your time, sir. Have a good day.
You're on Historymakers TV, and we'll have more coming up soon.